All right, let's look at working out the mid-zone weights and a standard fuel plan. So let's first look at a mid-zone weight. So as we mentioned earlier, the mid-zone weight is the weight of the aircraft calculated on the halfway point of a flight plan based on 600 pounds per hour with the climb. So let's look at a basic flight situation of flying from A to B with an alternate requirement. So let's say from point A to point B to point C with an alternate. Let's say that from A to B is 120 miles, and from B to C, or B to the alternate, is 40 miles. Now combined, that's going to be 160 miles, and half of that is 80. So right down the center, we could say 80 nautical miles. Now the center point is in the leg of A to B, so we're going to take the ground speed of leg from A to B. Now in this scenario, the ground speed for the two legs are actually going to be the same, because we're just going to say that the alternate is the same track from B to C as it is from A to B. But for instance, if your alternate was a little further and your halfway point was in your second leg and you had a different ground speed to your first leg, then you want to use the ground speed of the leg that your halfway point falls into. So we know that we have our TAS of 140 knots, and let's say that this track is 210 degrees magnetic, and that we have a wind of 180 degrees magnetic, 25 knots. Something to note about wind for a lot of these scenarios, often they will give you a tracked magnetic and a winded magnetic, or what they might do is they might give you a TAF or an R4. In which case they should also give you magnetic variation, and you need to do the variation calculation yourself. You need to add or subtract the variation to get the magnetic wind. Or it might just be that they give you the magnetic wind. So in this situation, they've given us the magnetic wind. So let's figure out our ground speed. So to do that, we need our whiz wheel. We're going to go to our wind first, which was 180 degrees. So let's go to 180. 180, sticky whiz wheel, and what did we say, 25 knots, so we're going to mark on the 25. Might be a little hard to see, but you should know how to use one of these. Our track is 210, so we're going to go over to 210 and put our mark on the 140, up to 140. And, oh, that won't focus because I've got manual focus set up. So that's reading 118 ground speed. So ground speed 118. All right, now that we've got our ground speed, and we're going to say that our ground speed for the first leg is the same as our ground speed for the second leg. So that should be 80, not 8. So now we need to figure out what our mid-zone weight is, and to do that we actually need to know our takeoff weight, and in these scenarios they'll give you the takeoff weight as well. So let's say that our takeoff weight is 10,400 pounds. So essentially what we need to do is figure out what our climb fuel burn is and our fuel burn to our mid-zone point, our midway point. Remove that from our takeoff weight, and that is our mid-zone weight. So we're going to use our calculator. 80 nautical miles divided by 118 knots times 600 for our 600 pounds per hour fuel burn. Remember, this is the only place where we're using 600 pounds. gives us 406.7, which is 407 pounds. So 407. Now, the other thing we need to know is how far are we climbing and how many minutes do we need to subtract from our takeoff weight to get our mid-zone weight. So in this scenario, we are climbing up to 6,500 feet. Remember, we round up to the closest 2,000 feet, so that's going to go up to 8,000. 1 minute every 2,000 feet means that this is going to be a 4-minute climb at 600 pounds per hour. So 600 pounds per hour is pretty easy in that it is 10 pounds a minute. So you could just say 40 pounds, but if you wanted to do the math, you could go 600 divided by 60 times 4 minutes gives you 40 pounds. Okay, so 10,400 minus 407 minus 40 gives us a mid-zone weight of 9,953 pounds. Now remember, we round up to the nearest 250 pounds, so the mid-zone weight for the table is going to be 10,000 pounds. Okay, so we have half the information we need to work out our fuel flow. So the first thing we have done is our mid-zone weight. So we've got our mid-zone weight of 10,000 pounds. That's that scenario. So I'm actually going to remove this piece of paper and we're going to start the same scenario again, knowing the mid-zone weight, and I'm going to show how I draw out the flight. Okay, so again, let's just title this actually mid-zone weight plus standard flight plan. You can see my messy handwriting. In fact, let's use a pen. All right, so from A to B to C, we're going to climb up to 6,500 feet. Remember, we need to work out a DA from that as well. Let's see, let's pull all the information. In fact, what I'll do is I'll go over, in fact, let's cut that right there. We're going to cut it out and we'll start again.